Welcome to this C4A Academy episode where we will discuss advanced coaching techniques. Judy demonstrates chanting, singing, an early tapping protocol, her all-the-way voice stretching, and changing tone. You can see many of these techniques used in our case study videos.
Hi, we are going to talk to you about advanced coaching techniques. We have 5 that are very specific that Judy has developed over these number of years working with many typers, and so we're really excited for her to share them with you.
Hey everybody. So I call them advanced coaching techniques because I don't typically have new communication partners learn to do these until they're super comfortable with what I call the basics. So you remember your basics, right? Your direction prompts, your non-specific prompts like go, 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 look, look, look. Okay, then, and of course, if need be, if you need it, hand over hand, and then if you need it, your auditory cues. Okay, so when somebody's really pretty proficient with those, then I start to teach these. And the reason is these are hard, and it's a lot to think about. Now, the really important point to make to everybody is that coaching is a fluid process. It's not that every single letter is going to necessarily require the same level of coaching. Sometimes somebody doesn't need any coaching for the top row of letters, but they tend to get lost as they go down the board. So I may have to increase my coaching level based on how a student is performing. I like to point out to people all the time that there are several letters on the laminated letter board, or actually I say any 26 letter board, that seem to be more difficult for certain students. Actually, most students, okay? The J is terrible. I don't know why for sure. I think it's just we use it so little.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, the I, very difficult because it's surrounded by letters with width, and it's just a thin line, and their eyes just tend to skip it a lot. The G, the reason I think there is because we tend to use M and we use A much more frequently sometimes than G's, and we sort of tend to see a lot of students just pass over it and go up to the A. Okay, so a lot of students have a harder time on the bottom of the letter board than they do on the top. Okay, I also have had students who could not move their hand up. They could move down the letter board, but they couldn't move up. So every time they had to move up, I had to increase my coaching level to get them to be able to learn that skill. So the point I'm making is it's an extremely fluid thing, and it may be on a letter by letter basis, or it may be the part of the board basis. I have to instantly make decisions about how I am going to make this student successful getting to a letter. So remember my rule of thumb, and I know we've repeated this several times in these videos, and I'm going to repeat it again. Your job as the communication partner is to use the least invasive method of coaching that you can to make the student successful. And the emphasis there is not on the coaching, it's on the success. If the least invasive method of coaching that you have to use is hand over hand, then that's what you have to use. Okay, so if you watch me coaching, you will notice that I'm doing a ton of different things constantly. All right, so what I do is then as I work with people and I get them to be doing all those things that we've told you in previous videos. Give the direction prompt before the board comes down. Give very specific direction prompts in the beginning. If you need to give them a hand wave in the beginning, then you give them the hand wave. If it has to be in front of the board, it has to be in front of the board. Remember that we're fading and we're fading. So as Judy mentioned, I'm going to show you 5 other things that I do to work on different techniques with students depending on what they might be having difficulty with.
These techniques are really powerful, so I'm excited for us to share them with you. They will help your typer get unstuck when the board is down. Thank you, Judy, for sharing them with our parents and practitioners. Chanting.
The first one we're going to cover is chanting. Some students, the hand just shoots forward too fast. Okay, and their eyes have not had a chance to get to the letter yet. Some students are just too slow. Okay, they're stuck on a letter and they're just stuck, and then eventually they start to move. But we need people to be paced. You can't be typing so fast that the person reading it can't process. Okay, but we also can't go too slow because people are not going to have the kind of patience to sit there and wait for you to take 20 minutes for one sentence. This is where chanting comes in. Chanting is essentially using your voice as though it were the beat of a drum.
Right.
So we're going to do, Elizabeth and I are going to demonstrate just using a simple spell word. Okay, Elizabeth, we're going to spell the word culture.
Right.
Ready?
Sit up.
C and look, U and look and L move all the way. Dan, get it, T all the way. Look, U move, look, R and E and all the way. Done. You heard me going Okay, I'm using my voice in a chant to keep her well paced.
And I think I mentioned to you, Judy, earlier that for Elizabeth and me, my go-to was a chant of and. So I just, and for whatever reason, that was a good thing for us. So you might try it, which was that I always just did like C and U and L and T, and because at that point she did not need the direction prompts, but she needed something to keep her body moving. Again, this was many years ago, but that was my go-to, is the and chat.
And I do that too.
Okay.
I do that too, and so I'm trying to demonstrate different ways that I use it. We'll do one more word, in fact, just like that, okay? Let's just spell blackout, okay, ready? And go. B and L move, A move, C and K and go. O and U and all the way, T and done. Now, I nixed it there because did you notice when I was just doing and she slowed down? So if I am working on a little bit more speed, I may slip the go in. So this is why we call this advanced. Okay, this is me making instantaneous judgment calls. Okay, if a student is well paced and I'm trying to, let's say, overcome freezing, I may just use the and. If I'm trying to speed them up, in between I may throw in the odd, go, look, kind of a thing. So, but that's the chant. The general idea being you're using your voice like a drum to give them good pacing for getting from letter to letter, okay?
Yeah. And now, again, I would say, Judy, I know we're calling these advanced techniques, but if it works, don't think you have to be super advanced to use these. You try them, things will feel very natural to some people, and these other techniques might even feel more natural to you. So anyway, I just say you try things, see if it works.
Yeah, I agree with that. As I said, I don't tend personally to introduce this because it's hard enough for people in the beginning to learn to keep their voice going, and if I give them sort of too much to do, it just leads to brain freeze. But once, as I said, as soon as I feel like somebody is starting to get into a rhythm and they don't have to think about every direction prompt and stuff, yeah, Ginny's right. I may start having them work on this a little bit.
Chanting was important to me when I was an early open typer. There is something about the rhythm that keeps my body going. Singing.
A little bit. Okay, now the second one is very closely related, and it's singing. And essentially the idea is the same thing. However, the same way that people's bodies tend to move nicely when they're listening to music. Why do we dance? Because we're rhythmically emulating what we're hearing in the music. So sometimes, as painful as it is, I sing. Okay, and so singing, again, is very similar to the chant. Okay, but some students just tend to respond to singing. All right, again, we're just going to do a simple spell word here, okay, just to show you. We'll spell affected, okay? All the way and go. Go. A and F and move your eyes all the way. E and get it. C, good, go. T, D and E and D and done. So I'm adding a musical element to the chant. Okay, and I have a lot of students who actually ask me, Judy, sing with their mouths because it helps them.
Yeah, I like the singing a lot because again, it adds the rhythm to the natural tendency for us to like to move our bodies in
That's
rhythm.
right.
So I like it a lot. Yeah.
Okay, so feel free, as Ginny said, try it. Even if you're, just at the beginning, and let's say you're at the point on the 3 boards where you're trying to keep the board down to have a student move from let's say you're spelling cat and you're up to the A, and you're at the C and you want to get them to the A, right? Top shelf, middle, and C, all the way, go A.
Yep.
Okay, so even then you can start to try to add a little bit of that. You're moving. Okay.
Early tapping protocol.
So next up, so we have chanting, we have singing. Next up we have, depending on what we want to call this one. Okay, we decided we're going to call it the early tapping protocol. I tend to give it a longer name than that, but what I'm doing essentially is using those non-specific vocal prompts. Things like, look, go, go, find it, move your eyes. Okay, but I'm using them to stop the student's hand from coming forward to tap before their eyes have a chance to get to the letter of their choice. So again, I was describing to you earlier, okay, that if the student is spelling, talk, all right, T, they have to now get up to the A, okay, and this student, I happen to notice, tends to tap. They're moving in the right direction, but the hand just tends to shoot forward. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate to you now what I do. We're going to use that word, Elizabeth, okay?
Go ahead.
So just spelling talk, hon. You got it?
Up.
Go, 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 go. T, go, 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 go. A and L and K. Talk. So you heard me just using a little bit more excitement in my voice. I'm sort of raising the energy level, and I'm saying go, 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 and my voice will cut off when they get to that letter. In the beginning, it's hard for them, but then they start to acclimate and they start to listen to my voice, and it gets the hand to where where it needs to be. So I use that a lot. You will see that in a lot of the videos.
Right.
Okay?
Our case studies that we're going to be putting out, you see it in it.
You'll see a lot of it. Okay. So that's, I'll often use look or scan. They're moving in the right direction. Go, scan. And I'm just saying, you're not there yet. Keep moving.
Using your voice energy is powerful because we are trying to clear our minds to focus on the task, and your voice gives us something to hang on to. All the way.
Okay, very similar to that is another coaching level technique I use that I call all the way, but some people want to use it stretching the voice. It's the same idea. Okay, we're going to pick a word here. We're going to spell New Jersey. N and E, all the way, W and look, J and E and R and S, all the way, E and Y. She's typed too quickly for me to really do it there.
We live in New Jersey, so she spelled it a few times.
That's why I picked it. But what you're seeing there is me, when the student has a long way to go, okay, I'm stretching my voice out, right? So, A and all the way, cutting off, of course, when she gets to the W. So it's similar to keep the non-speaker from tapping too soon and making sure that they know to really keep moving. Okay, again, when you watch videos of me working, you're going to see me flipping from one of these to the other fluidly, constantly changing what I'm doing, depending on the letter, depending on how the student is responding. I have a young lady here who's an open communicator, and I've discovered that going go doesn't work with her. Stretching my voice does.
Oh, okay.
So she's a very new talker, and so we're still working on technique and fluidity and things like that. So when I know sometimes I know what the word is. Obviously, if it's AWESO, there's only one word that it could be. You'll hear me even then as I'm spelling with her go all the way, because that way it helps her. She just tends to tap too soon, even as an open communicator. Remember, once they're open doesn't mean that we're done teaching them. Okay, there's still a lot of work to be done in terms of before we even move to more advanced devices like an iPad or a keyboard. We still have to work on that fluidity and pacing and perfecting their technique.
The tapping protocol and stretching your voice help us to keep our focus on moving to the letter rather than tapping impulsively before we get there. Changing tone.
Okay, the last one then is something else that I do, and I did it instinctively, and I like it because it works, which is I actually change my tone. Again, you'll see these in case study videos where when a student is looking, has a letter they need to get to at the top, my voice actually goes up in pitch, and then I drop it all the way down, and up. I'm actually changing my tone. So again, just to demonstrate here, we'll just spell a nice easy word here, looking at this lesson in front of me. New York City. Ready? All the way. N E N W N Y N O N R N K up C and I rand T down Y. Okay. So again, Elizabeth is such a proficient speller that sometimes it's almost hard for me to show you these things. But you get the idea. You heard me as soon as she was going up to the C, my voice went up. Okay. Sometimes I'll do a combination of these. I'll be saying like, look. Okay. Up, and go down. Okay. So I'm even combining some of these different coaching methods. Okay, so that is my little quick summary of a more advanced coaching techniques.
That's right. We again hope that after you, the communication partner, become proficient at all of the basics, as Judy said, that you'll be able to try these and see. You may pick one out that's really magical for your typer and really helps. So we wanted to make sure we get them on our videos so you could see them and be able to use them as well.
And actually, let me just make one last point. Okay, even if you're on the 3 boards, okay, don't forget that, let's just say you're trying to get your non-speaker to the A.
Yeah.
Okay, top shelf on the left, up and get it up.
Yes.
I'm using
For sure.
but 2 techniques there, right? I'm using don't tap too soon, and my voice went up in pitch.
Yes.
Okay, so even at an early stage, these can be helpful for you.
And I do think, again, when we talk about how one of the main pitfalls is under coaching, because you have the board here, you say what the direction coaching, and you put it down, well, now you have something else you can use to get them to the letter. So that's why I think these are so important, because again, we don't want there to be silence when they're just starting. You get the direction here, you may use your hand, but then what happens? Use these techniques to get them to the right letter.
Right, that's exactly right.
All right.
Please think of these techniques as a toolbox to help us become more fluid typers. The goal is to fade them all out so we can communicate without coaching in a classroom or at a dinner table.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Hope it was helpful.
In this episode, we discussed advanced coaching techniques, including chanting and how to use, and, like the beating of a drum, singing when you add a musical element to chanting. An early tapping protocol when the communication partner's voice stops when the typer gets to the letter. All the way. When you stretch your voice to get the typer's eyes and finger across the board, and changing tone when you raise your tone for upper letters and lower your tone for lower ones. Your episode exercise is to select a C4A Academy lesson. Practice getting your typer into a rhythm with chanting and singing. Use the early tapping protocol and all the way technique of stretching your voice for crossing the board. Raise your tone for upper letters and lower your tone for lower letters. Don't be discouraged. These advanced techniques take practice. Here it is, your moment of zen.
N-O-W-C. No changes. I-C-A-L-K-A-H-A-V-E-F-R. And no changes. I-E-N-D-S-A-N-D-L-E-R. And
Spelling has changed my life.
Alive.
Now I can talk, have friends, and learn.
alert.